Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. One of the biggest things that stops people from being successful is they don't know what they want. We've been talking about clarity a lot. Have you noticed that real estate investing is the path to wealth? Have anybody in this room ever heard that you can retire through real estate investing?
Yes.
Yes. Who here knows the exact strategy to get there within 5 years? Because you've been with me for a while, right?
Not going to deny it.
For the rest of you, who'd be interested in hearing that strategy? All right. If I told you it was super simple, it just takes 5 years, would you be committed to doing it?
Hell yeah. Yep.
It's not going to happen overnight. I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you. But it is possible to do this in 5 years. The secret is not wholesaling. Where my wholesalers at? All right, throw them all the way up. Come on. Yeah. The secret is it's not just wholesaling. On the other side of it, it's 100% the biggest skill that you're going to need is the skill that wholesalers have, which is finding deals. This makes sense?
Yeah.
If you don't have the deal, you can't make any money. If you can't put yourself in front of a seller with property, you can't get the property. This makes sense?
Yep.
All right, very cool. So we got get the deal. This is it. You just got to go to this course. Wow, Ron, you really tightened this up. Nice job. So get the deal is where we're going to teach you how to get the actual deal. Anybody here know how to find property right now? Yeah? Yeah? So why are you not sending me a ton of leads? I'm ready to buy them all. Yeah? If you knew how to find property and you were so good at it, you'd be sending me 100 deals a week, right? I can out finance any deal you send me, right? If it's a good deal. The problem is a lot of you guys have not sent me a good deal. I'm wondering why. Why? What is it? Like what? Seriously?
I like you.
Right? Yo, and it's one thing if you're not sending me a deal because you're buying it yourself. I'm about that. I want to see, the whole point of me teaching you is for you to go build your own empire, right? I'm just giving you the money to get there. I'm just giving you the training, the education to get there. I want to see you guys buying this real estate that I'm telling you to go buy, right? The problem is that you just haven't figured out how to get the deal. You really haven't. You really haven't mastered getting the deal, right? Well,
Yep.
right. If you had the skill, you're a killer too. Mm-hmm. You crush the phones. Randy crushes the phones.
Yep.
There's some step in between the knowing how and the actual closing of a deal. We all agree.
Yeah.
The concept is simple. Find seller, talk to seller, buy house, right? There's somewhere between there just financing and attorneys, but that is a simple concept. The problem is the steps in between, there's a lot of mindset involved. It's those mindset shifts, that little transmission in the brain that goes from, I made a bunch of calls to, now I have to become a salesperson. Now I have to understand contracts. Now I've got to find the money. Now I've got to collect everything and actually get to the closing. There's a lot of steps in between where there's mental shifts in your mind, right? And it's getting your mental transmission working that really helps. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, cool. So the other thing we're going to talk about is get the deal. It's $200. It's 2 days. Guess what? Getting the deal is a lot of work. It involves a lot of mindset. It literally takes me 2 days to teach because I am condensing it, right? It could take me much longer to teach, but I use something called NLP. Anybody familiar with neuro-linguistic programming? I use that to create accelerated learning. I speed up the learning process. So instead of you sitting there for 8 hours and wondering why your butt hurts, you'll be thinking, oh my God, I'm having so much fun and I actually am retaining all the knowledge. So that's how I'm able to build champions faster because I'm very lazy, right? Ultimately, I tell Ron all this all the time. And he's like, no, you're not lazy. You work really hard. No, dude, I'm efficient. When I do something, I want it done and I never want to touch it again, right? So if I'm going to train, if I'm going to teach, I record everything for you guys so that I don't have to teach this again. So I'm glad it's recording and you're watching it because if we can move, and we're talking about making that $1 million a month, right? That was Mario's big goal. It's systems. It's systems, it's people, it's capital involved, it's skill sets involved that just have to be done and recorded, right? Who here records everything they do? Why not? Right? Why not? If you don't record it, you've got to do it tomorrow. If you aren't recording it, you've got to do it next year. If you're not building some sort of training program and doing the things you're doing today, you got to do them tomorrow. That make sense? Anybody heard of the 4-Hour Work Week? Yeah, who's read it? Yeah. Doesn't that book mess you up? Like you read it and you're like, I don't ever want to work again. I'm done. I'm out. I want the 4-hour work week now. That book demotivates me so bad. And then I go on, I read something like Sell or Be Sold, like get back into the grind, right? Like something amp you up 10x or whatever. But if you stay in that 4-hour work week mentality, like all he's teaching you is go get virtual assistants, right? Go get virtual assistants, build better systems, automate your emails, automate your texts, get things built so that everything is systematized so you don't have to do it yourself, right? That's what the 4-hour work week's about. And a lot of people will read it and then stop, right? They just get disgusted because like, oh my God, it's too much work. But that work is the real work. Like that's the stuff. It's the quiet stuff. Nobody's going to tell you to do it. Right, Ron? Nobody sits there and says, hey, build a bunch of email templates that automatically go out to build relationships with people. Nobody says this to us. In fact, if people knew we were doing that, they'd be like, oh, why don't you just send me a genuine real email? Because it's got to be a system. Because we don't do that either. It's too much work for us to go and send those out, right? And you know where I'm coming from. As your database gets bigger, you still have to be able to build relationships. You still have to be able to respond. So these systems are very key and very important. So at Get the Deal, we're going to talk about how to find the deal, how to source the deal, how to build the lists, how to go out and talk on the phone, how to actually decide their disc over the phone, how to decide their disc when you meet them in person. Anybody familiar with disc? Who here is not familiar with disc? That's okay too. All right, so disc is a profiling program. I use it in order to identify how should I speak with this person, right? That's how to build rapport. Anybody in sales? So the salespeople know it's all about rapport. You build rapport, you build trust, and then you can get compliance, right? It doesn't happen until you figure that out. So have you ever done an appointment, gone out there, talked to the seller, and suddenly things weren't working out so well? And you can't figure out why. It just didn't work. Like there was like a weird rub.
Some kind of block.
Out of rapport. That's all that is. Out of rapport. Disc allows you to get in rapport very quickly. So we'll be talking about that on the second day. That is how to close the deal. So we call it Get the Deal, right? The first one we did was get the money, then it was get the deal, and then it's close the deal. But in Get the Deal, we're just doing both back to back because I don't want to wait another 2 months to do close the deal, right? So the second day is all about that sales piece, how to actually close it from the point of an appointment to the end all the way through, because in a sale, you have to keep them motivated. You have to keep reminding them why they're selling the house. We got 45 days from that great conversation you had. We're like, yeah, I'll sell it cheap. You got 45 more days with so many fears and concerns and situations and uncomfortable problems that come up for them as they're learning to move, as they realize something else is broken in the house, as they realize they can't get a place to go. Like, there's a lot of issues that come up in a close. You've got to be able to figure out what's important to that person, how to communicate with them. That'd be pretty valuable, right? If you had all these skills, you'd be rich already, right? Yep. I know. So we're going to teach you how to get the deal. GualterMorello.com/intensive. It's $200. Sign up, pay for it. That said, the reason we're doing it, I don't get rich off of those. Right? I get rich off of these, the things I own. This is something I do so you guys can bring me more property. The only reason I charge is so you actually do it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know.
Big time.
Yeah. I've paid $35,000 for a coaching program, right? I've paid $60,000 for all of my coaching like all of my trainings. Oh, it's probably higher than that if I think of the monthly ones. So it's up there. It's probably close to 80 grand. Right? We just dropped another $5,000 last weekend. So I believe in training. I believe in education. Absolutely. The reason, and it sounds crazy, but the reason I like paying big dollar amounts for some of my trainings, they hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read a book? Have you ever bought a book, a $7 book, that I told you, or somebody told you all the answers are right here in this book, and then not read that book? Okay. Me too. When I was broke. Seriously, when I was broke, I did that. When there was a book, right? And I'm not saying it's this book, but maybe it is, broke to $250,000. But when I was broke, I didn't read freaking books. I didn't. People would say, all the answers are right there in that book. You just got to read this, and that's going to get you to the next level. Every book leads me to 5 or 10 more books. Right? It's absolutely insane. In fact, this book does lead you to 5 very specific books, the Foundational 5. Who's read those? Who at least knows about those? Come on, guys. All right. Give yourselves a round of applause because you're paying attention, right? This is something. Look at this group. A bunch of book readers in here. Yeah.
Smart.
That's it. So it's coming, all right? I've officially got over 250 books now. So my goal for this year was 250. I wanted to hit it. I've already hit it. I'm working towards 260 right now. And I don't physically read most of my books. If I can't get it on Audible, I have like a mental breakdown. Like, damn it, I gotta actually set aside time to sit in a lighted area, which is difficult now. Hard to enjoy. But most of these things are on Audible. Like, it's like the Matrix. You could be doing something and the knowledge is just getting put in. I'm a real estate investor, right? Or I know NLP, or I know hypnosis. So now you just get out of it. It's like, I got these skills. There's books on disc, right? I went and took trainings on disc. I went and took books, training on NLP and hypnosis, hung with these guys. And then I realized there were books on them. And then I got a deeper knowledge on each one of the subjects, right? And vice versa in some cases. But it's understanding that, yeah, it's not necessarily about whether the training is available. It's will you do it. And putting that $5,000 price tag on something, sometimes it's all like that gets me to go through the tutorials, right? Or that 20 grand on something, it gets you to go through it. So the reason I say that is, don't be that way. Stop it. It's not the price of what you pay for education. It's how bad do you want that education, right? And if you are like me and you got to pay for education, good. I'll charge you $10,000. We'll do the same exact meeting that we're doing every single week, but you'll take it seriously, right? Yeah. You guys are in here for free, right? You're getting something that people pay for, right? People pay for these masterminds. I've paid $10,000 to be part of a mastermind. I've paid $5,000 to be part of a mastermind. I pay $100 every week to be a part of a mastermind. That one has cigars and food, so that's a good one. But I enjoy that one a lot. But there are so many values that we have in this group that's different from my other masterminds. Every one of you is local. Every one of you is a real estate investor, right? It's a very unique mastermind that you can't get anywhere else. Try, right? There is nothing like this anywhere else. Where we sit, we talk, we discuss the things that are valuable to you, and then we move you forward. Who got value out of the mastermind earlier? Learned things that maybe you didn't know were in there. Saw somebody up here, not even you, saw somebody up here and learned something from their experience.
And not only that, big ups to Mario for admitting he had to readjust too. That's huge. That's one of the biggest things that people don't do is go and say, hey, wait a minute, I'm going in the slightly wrong direction, let me adjust. Yeah. And I just want to say that because that's huge, what he did.
Calibrating where you are in life is important. It's great to be out here. I spend my time in the future. I spend a lot of my time in the future. The secret to success is calibrating to where you are too, right? Yeah. And being okay with it. Being 100% okay with it and knowing what activities you got to take here in the moment. What's up, Matt? Being 100% okay with, okay, I've got to earn, get down to making an extra $1,000 a month. Right? When I started, that's all I was looking for, an extra $1,000 a month. Right? Buy that 3-family that brought me an extra $1,000 a month. It was a small step. And then it was buy the next one, buy the next one. As they stacked, it got to $5,000 a month. It got to $10,000 a month. Right? What are our gross rents right now? We're somewhere around $35,000?
Oh yeah, if you put them all together.
Yeah, I like that number. Okay, I'll put them all together. So now we're at grossing $35,000. That's not what we take home, right? We do roll a lot of our money back into the properties because we're smart guys like that. And we like to not pay as many taxes. And we like to improve our stuff so that one day it's worth far more. And that's worked for us. We're at $5 million worth of real estate. Right? How long have we been working together, Ron?
2 years.
2 years.
3 years.
3 years. Good 3 years. It's been fun.
Seems like forever.
3 years. Seems like forever. So our goal for next year is to be at $20 million worth of real estate. And it's a super attainable goal because we set a super realistic strategy to do it. It doesn't work though. This strategy doesn't work the same way as the beginning strategies worked, right? I couldn't do this. We can't go months without income without having the systems that we have in place already. Does that make sense? Yeah. You can't go swing that bat for on a 2 or 3 year project if you don't have something to survive those 2 to 3 years. Does that make sense? Right now, he and our income is set for the next 2 years. If we don't make $500,000 a year, the market, even if the market tanked, it's just that we were retarded, right? Something would have had to have happened where we just didn't make phone calls, right? If Ron just didn't send emails out, then that's the only thing that could ever stop it. But even that shouldn't, because our property manager, our attorneys, they're all running things for us. They've got the go-ahead to do this project, right? So that now means I can swing at take bigger swings, right? It's not, what is it?
You can hit a bigger ball.
I can hit a bigger ball, right? I can aim a little lower. I can take the time it takes to get the grand slam, right? I'm not too concerned about whether I just connect with the ball, right? Now it's like, okay, I can be more tactical about it, be more intentional about that big slam, right? It's the same thing in your life right now, wherever you're at. If you're looking at hitting that big goal, and you should be looking 5-10 years out. That's how this business is built. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I've said it before, right? I can get you retired in 5 years, but you can get that lifestyle in 10, right? You can get that, like, wherever you want to live lifestyle in 10, however much money you want in 10. You could hit it in 5. He and I have been playing together for 3 years. 3 years. I spent 3 of those months in Vegas while Ron was running the show for me, right? Next year, I'll be touring this entire country, just having a blast teaching people how to invest in real estate while Ron's making sure the machine's running, right? We're both doing the things that we love. Every weekend, he'll relax. He'll take it off. Every weekend, I'll be on a stage, right? Different strokes for different folks. Everybody wants something different out of life, right? I don't even know what that means, but it rhymes, so. But whatever your goal is 10 years from now, get that written down. And then you work back, right? Yeah. Randy wants to make $1 billion. Billion.
5.
Me too.
Years.
What's the reason for the billion, Randy?
Oh, dude, I got kids to take care of. I got not.
It's not even it.
Well,
you're doing it because it's tough. You're doing it because nobody else you know has done it.
I thought you realize, but yeah, no, I'm trying to go all-time great. I'm trying to do big things. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's no time for half-stepping.
There are different things that motivate us, right? Know your motivation, set your goal, and then work back. Does anybody know how to make $1 billion? Not yet. The strategy is you look at $1 billion, and it's net worth. We're not talking about just income, right? Because income just flies right out the window anyway. Yeah. We're talking about net worth, right? $1 billion net worth. You dial it back. Half of that. Half of it. Half of it. Half of it. Cut it down. If you cut it down 26 times, it gets down to $26.
Yep.
Right? I know. That's what opened my mind. I did this 2 years ago before I left for Vegas. I sat there and I was like, oh, I wonder what it would be. And I'll be honest, I didn't start with $1 million. With $1 billion. I started with 10 million. I was like, well, what would it be? And it wasn't that far. And I just went back 3 or 4 weeks later to the same paper, and I turned the page and I started over again at $1 billion. And it was 26 years from $26. And at that time, I already had $500,000. So I was like, jump. Like, I'm like 14 years away. Yep. As long as I consistently double my net worth every single year. Guess what? It's just as hard every single year. Yep. It doesn't get easier. It doesn't get harder. It just gets different. Yep. Right? There was a point where I used to get paid to sweep floors. There are not enough floors in the world for me to sweep to make $1 billion. Does that make sense? There is no net worth in that. So you have to adjust what you're doing. One of the easiest ways to become a billionaire in real estate, start a REIT, right? Real Estate Investment Trust. You've got to be playing on a big scale to get to that level. You've got to be trusted with small things before you be trusted with big things, right? Anybody read the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind? It's in the Foundational 5. Yes? Yes? Oh, very good.
It's on the shelf.
It's on the shelf. All right, get to it. Get to it. So Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, the concept is if you can manage a dollar, if you can't manage a dollar, you can't be trusted with $100,000, right? Mm-hmm. If you can't manage a dollar, you can't be trusted with $1 million. Mm-hmm. You've got to start with small things, buying those small rental properties, wholesaling for rental properties that you are in the neighborhood you want to live in, right? So I did the math. This is cool, by the way. Whoever rewrote this, that's art.
You're at the end, yeah. Put back.
Let me see. I'm gonna go back quite a bit.
Can you pull it down?
Actually, it's this one right there.
You want the 3 with the hole in on it?
That's what this one right there. There we go. This is a strategy, right? This is literally the strategy to get to that $1 million, right? To get to the billion, yeah. Add 3 more zeros. Yeah. It's exactly the same thing, right? Who here wants to be a billionaire? Are you just saying that because it's cool? right? Half of you don't.
Yeah, those are written down.
You know how I know I'll be a billionaire? It's the reason I wake up in the morning,
Exactly.
right? It's all I look at. I know I have to be because it's the only way to get my city to where I want to be. All right, who here heard me talk about Fall River? All right, I want to see Fall River greater than Boston. That seems impossible, doesn't it? Right. Well, I'm gonna outlive all you negative guys. I'm going for the 100 years on this planet, right? So I've got to work every single day in a different way than every single one of you, right? I got a different goal. Like, be real about it. I'm talking about big goals. I'm talking about ambitious things, right? It doesn't have to be that way in real estate. In 5 years, if all you want to do is retire with a passive income of $100,000, you can do that. If you want to retire with $50,000 passive income, you can probably do it in 3 years, right? If you want $250,000, give yourself 4 years, 5 years. If you want to retire passively with $1 million in the bank, with $1 million of return, give yourself 5-7 years. Entirely possible in real estate. 100% possible in this business. Mm-hmm. There are some easy strategies. You could be an agent and a wholesaler for the rest of your life, and if you love it, you can do that until the day you die, right? But you can't retire. You can't stop. Right? You have to work every single day for the rest of your life until you either saved up enough money to buy enough real estate or stocks, portfolio, right? Something that pays you passively. Or you lend out your money to other people and you get interest, right? Flips and rehabs. Flips and rehabs are great. Again, you're working until the day you die. You've got to keep going, keep going, keep going. Every time you stop or finish a flip, you're unemployed again. You got to go find the next one. Anybody here done flips before? Anybody want to do flips? Oh man, you guys. It's true. Flips are our favorite source of when we want to make money. We know 6 months from now we've made the decision we're going to get paid, right? So it's big money. We really enjoy those because Ron and I can live off of cheap money. He and I have both been savers our whole lives, so when big money comes in, we budget it. We're like, yep, I could live off of this. It's consistent for us. We're not paycheck to paycheck people. We love to have a big amount and then we're fine with it. But you also need that little money too. And that's where the rentals come in, right? Rentals bring you this stability of, like I said, that first $1,000 a month, that second $2,000 a month that just keeps coming in regardless. But it holds your net worth. When you're making money off of a flip, it's because you're selling your net worth, right? Like that's really what you've gained when you purchased that property was equity, it was net worth. Mm-hmm. And the reason you get a big lump sum when you sell is because you're selling your net worth, right? Anybody here religious? Oh, that's cute. Okay. We got 2 people in the room. 3 people are like, I'm a little bit. There's something out there. So in the Bible, God says, or one of the prophets says, don't sell your land, right? Never sell your land, right? That's in the Bible, like not to sell your land. What's the reason? Because it allows you to expand, allows you to grow, allows you to have the food or have crops or whatever it is you're looking to do. Your land is income.
Set up your farm.
Set up your farm. Your land is income. So literally everybody's known this for a long, long time, right? That real estate is the key. Even God's like, hey, yo, hold real estate. Right?
I gave you the earth.
I'm saying, right? He's like, look, I gave you the most valuable thing right there. Yeah. That's the one.
Earth.
Right? And it's for a reason. He's not making any more. Like he made it and was like, I'm out. Like that's done. Plants and animals, they keep coming back. We can make a lot of those. But the plant, like the earth, that's all I'm doing, right? And then we got the Tower of Babel, right? Where we're like, well, we could just stack this stuff up, right? Make a bunch of rocks and go higher. And even that becomes more expensive, and there's a limit to it, right? They've built some really tall buildings. Those buildings are very expensive to create, right? Skyscrapers. There's only 2,300 skyscrapers on this planet. So if you're looking to buy skyscrapers, you're competing with a lot of other people. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Well, you're not competing. Well, you're still competing, but in the multifamily arena, the small multifamilies, there's a lot more of them. Just in New Bedford alone, there's 2,002 families, right? Just in Fall River alone, there's 2,002 families, 3,003 families. So there's a lot more inventory on these smaller multifamily products. And if you can buy a few at a time, what is it annually, 10K, Oh yeah, so one 3-family should make you $10,000 annually. But what's valuable is if you bought it the right way. They bought it like a flip. Anybody know the numbers on a flip?
70%.
70% rule. There you go. Give Tucker a round of applause. That's good stuff. Good stuff. The 70% rule. For anybody at home who doesn't know what it is, 70% rule is you buy the property at 70% of what it's worth, and you have the renovation costs are moved out of that as well. So it's the same thing when you buy rental property, although we'll go up to the 80% rule. And rental property, you can go up to 80%. That way you're buying it with 20% equity. That's how this strategy works. If you're buying at 100% what the building is worth, that's okay too. Just know it will take you longer. That's not the 5-year plan. We get that? Okay. So you got to buy with 20% discount. Then you want to add 20% value. This is where you raise rents. This is where you go in and clean up the units. This is where you just do the things that it takes to raise the value of the buildings, right? So every building that Ron and I have bought within 6 months to a year, we instantly have 40% equity in it. This is how we've operated. Then this beautiful thing called appreciation has put us over the threshold and put us into 50% equity, sometimes 60% equity. This building is 60% equity. It's ridiculous. We hold it. Yeah, do the math. Say it's worth 750. We only have 250,000 of equity debt on it. Wow, shit, we're at 75% equity on this. Not 75, but we're up there. We're around 60. Yeah.
We need to sell it.
Or refi it, or refinance it, because it does cash flow.
I think he does too.
Right? So it's an option. So this is the problems that we run into. We've now got too much equity on our building. In investing, you kind of want that 40%. That's a great area to be at. When you get beyond 40% equity, you got to start looking at either refinancing or selling it and buying something else. Because at 40%, you're paying off too much. You've got your return of investment goes much lower. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right. So if you, right now, our equity is $500,000. $500,000 had better get us a good return, right? A $500,000 equity position should carry us into a $2.5 million building, but we're sitting on a $750,000 building. Does that make sense? We could buy way more if we sold it. Oh, wow, I'm just realizing this right now. We could buy way more if we just sold it.
Don't sell your land.
Unless. So every rule has an exception. Never sell your land unless you're buying more. More valuable land. It's just like the same rules behind a 1031 exchange. It's like God and the government got together. And they were like, you know what we could do? A 1031 exchange. Which defers the taxes as long as they buy either the same amount of real estate or more. They're like, you don't even have to pay taxes as long as you buy the same amount or more in real estate. How cool is that? So in our precarious situation where we have way too much equity, we could go and take this and roll it into something else. The problem becomes finding a $2.5 million portfolio.
That's my problem.
Right. These are good problems. But this is what a room full of wholesalers is for, right? Guys, yo, like
I got you.
If every one of you brings me a 6-family, we could probably lump them all together and get ourselves a nice $2.5 million portfolio, right? Like teamwork, just got to coordinate. And every one of you gets $5,000, $10,000. We don't give a shit. Like we're like, yo, make it rain. What is it?
Why not get a $2.5 million property?
It's harder.
No, I'm down for it. There's just not as many. The bigger you go, the less there are.
I have some information on some.
Then we will take that. Ron, can you make that connection? Very good, sir. Very good. So that is that. And yes. So that is the strategy. You've got to buy with equity. You've got to create value, right? Now, sometimes creating value is simply raising rents. The condos we just bought, when we told everybody we were buying condos in Fall River for $35,000 a unit, which by the way, that is a joke. It's ridiculous. That is more than our 20% discount that we're looking for. That's a 70% discount. Those things are worth $120 all day. So we've got a ridiculous discount on these properties. When we walked in, we thought something's gonna be wrong. Property's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be gross. It's gonna be like torn apart, right? Property's in mint condition. In fact, nicer than anything else we ever owned. So okay, that's a shock, right? The tenants must be terrible, because that's our other spot where we make money. Repairing tenant issues, right? They must not be paying. We just finished our first month of this building. Everybody paid us. Dude, that's not the problem either. Like, what's going on? Like, what is it? It was the condo association. The condo association is in the rears. Well, that's a new issue for us, but shit, that's just paperwork. That's just like admin stuff. We can bring somebody in for admin. So working on hiring a property manager for the association. But that's the problem? That's the reason? That's solvable, right? Who wouldn't go and hire somebody else to go fix that problem right now? Right.
All day.
Like it's like, okay,
day.
I needed somebody to manage my association. I'm gonna go find somebody to manage it. They pay for everything, right? Like it's a simple solution to a very simple problem.
Tell them what we bought it for.
I bought that for $840,000. $840,000. We bought 24 condo units that are worth $3 million. It's not even fair. I know. It's like this game, but we couldn't finance it. Like swear, we yep.
But you solved the guys.
We solved their issue. They wanted out.
That's
They
all.
wanted out because they were mismanaging it.
Right.
And they were having an issue. And when we came in, even like I know buddies of mine who tried to finance this building and they couldn't. Like good investors, smart guys, know how to raise capital, like they're good investors. They couldn't finance this thing. So when it came to us, I didn't start the way we normally start. Normally it's one or two lenders, right? We're like, oh, let's close this. We went out and we got 6 lenders. Right off the bat it was 5. 4?
Started with 4.
Started with 4.
And they all said no.
Which was, they all said no.
They
We
all
went to
started
2
saying
commercial
no,
banks,
so-
we went to 2 hard money guys. Then we went more hard money guys. In the end, we went to a money lender, and another hard money guy. And we paid for this one, right? The money was a little higher. The cost was not, this was not cheap money. For hard money, this was expensive, right? And
Closing costs.
closing cost was $26,000.
$6,000 in closing costs.
$26,000.
Crazy.
Like, that's money that had to show up, right? Like, they weren't giving us that. So there was work involved. There were things that we had to do that were outside of our comfort zone. Which now I'm like, that was no big deal. Afterwards, even at your first building, it feels the same way. Even at doubling your net worth the first time, it feels the same way. I swear to God, like I'm telling you, it actually gets easier. Because he and I have flexed the muscle a couple times. We're like, well, I guess we'll just go do it now. It became simple. Walter, go raise capital. And I was like, Ron, where are we at? And we're like, oh, we need another $80,000.
When in doubt.
Yeah.
When in doubt, borrow more money.
When in doubt, borrow more money. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's such a good deal. There's a point where you have to stop borrowing. There's a point where you have to give up on a deal. But this deal was so good, we'd be fools not to close it, right? And there were so many points where he and I thought about not closing it. So many points where we looked at it and we're like, oh man, something's gotta be wrong here. Something's gotta be wrong here. Like maybe we should just back out of this. We'll do small deals, go back to our wheelhouse where we're used to. But we do the math. And that's what will save you. People lie, numbers don't.
100%.
Right? That's what will save you every single time. Go back to the math. This business is a simple, consistent business. We said if the numbers don't work, we're not going to do it. But if the rents, like we had a property manager come in, she said the rents should be $1,100. These rents should be $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. There are 6 and 7. She said we're off. Like this is one of the problems here.
That's crazy.
Right? We're off by a lot. So we're looking at it like it's got to be a number. So like this works. The numbers work. And even if we can't sell these condos, they cash flow at the right numbers. We just got to get them there. And that's what we're doing. So we went in and told all tenants, said, look, raise the rents. Everything's going up $100. We're going to get past the holidays. We're going to get you past December, past January. On January 1st, you're being notified. And I'm telling you now, if you can't handle $100 after the holidays, look, let me know. I'm going to sell your unit. And that's okay. No harm, no foul. Everybody paid rent this month. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Everybody paid rent this month because every single one of them knew they were in a discounted apartment. They all know that they can't get what they've got.
This place is big.
These apartments are nice. Like I said, the nicest things we've ever owned. And like, sometimes it embarrasses me that there are way nicer things out there that we haven't owned yet. But like, it's being real. Like, these things rent for more than those things are renting for. And although these are the same square footage, they're not as nice. Although we made them a lot nicer. And they are getting there. Those apartments are huge. Like our 1,100 unit square foot apartments are big 3 bedrooms, like huge. and like the floor plan is so perfect. These are older buildings, so the floor plan doesn't really, not as conducive to small kitchens. These kitchens are huge, right? Brand new counters, all done in 2004. Anyway, I digress on that deal. The whole point is that you start with your wholesaling business, your agency, your flips, and your holds to eventually get into a paper location, right? Where you are the bank. So it works. It all works, right? But on commercial, after 20 years, you survive this business for 20 years, your stuff is paid off. This is what my mentor did. This is his strategy, right? He told me, we were sitting in the cigar shop and he's re-emphasizing it yesterday that this is the whole point. So I worked my whole life for this moment. I was like, I'll give you 17 million. And he was like, well, let me think about it. Right, but his point was I worked my whole life to get to the point where these things are paid off and they just bring me money. Right? With my strategy, he could have done that 10 years ago by just pulling back a little bit. Paying, like selling off some of the condos, some of the smaller buildings, selling off some of the really nice ones, and he could have been already debt free. He wanted more money in retirement. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So he held out a little bit longer. So depending, we can retire in 3 years. We can retire in 5 years, 7 years. Do like he did. It's been 20 years, right? Actually, it's been 30 years. He wanted to go big, right? So you can retire at whatever point you want. But the more you want in retirement, the more time or the more systems or the more skill or the better you will have to be to get there. Because at the end of the day, it's not about time. It's about how good are you with your time? How efficient? How much can you slam dunk in those few moments that you have, the opportunities, right? System is simple. Yes, you belong being a wholesaler or an agent, which means you belong finding property. All right, later guys. You belong finding property. When you have too much equity in a property, you belong flipping it, but with a strategy called pyramiding. Who's heard of pyramiding before? Very good. Yep, so pyramid looks like this. So it starts with one property, you sell that, you buy 2. Sell that, you buy 4. Sell those, you buy 8. Sell those, you buy 16, and it continues. Does that make sense? Your units should always be doubling. You should be doubling your units as you go. And it's an easy strategy. The math is simple. You start with 3, you move on to 6, then you move on to 12, then you move on to 24, and then you get to the point where we're at, where now you're at 48, and then you keep doubling, right? I just want to jump to a higher point. I really just want to next year just go right to the 200 because it'd just be fun. He's like, yeah, sign me up. I'm with it. I got the approval already. He doesn't want 200 in a small little manner though. It has to be one deal.
Can
Like
anybody
that's.
do 489?
What is it?
Can anybody do 489 units?
489 units? Yeah, it's to 500, right?
It's 489, which is 489.
Yep. So if this, where is it located? Is it in Fall River?
Georgia.
I won't touch out of state.
It's
But
50% vacancy.
Ooh, that's
I got a guy who might touch it. Yep. We might come in as partners on that. 50% vacancy.
Ooh, what are we talking about?
That's awesome. Georgia, almost 500 units in Georgia at a 50% vacancy.
Oh yeah, it's Georgia.
Let's
bro.
talk.
It's in Georgia.
I got a few partners who might jump on that. That's actually a very cool deal. I like that. So that's opportunities, right? Hang out with the right people and opportunities. That's how that condo deal came to us. Where I was just teaching, and the guy was like, would you buy condos? I almost said no. But I said I'd buy them at $40,000 a unit. And he said, I got a deal for you. Plain and simple. Sometimes that's what this, like, you've got to get better skills. I had to learn public speaking in order to get that deal. That makes sense?
Yep.
Not saying jump there, but saying at some point, if you want to get to the level where you can attract big money, big deals, you probably do have to talk to a lot of people. This is just a very efficient manner to do it. That makes sense? Yeah. Nice. So far, are you guys getting value out of this?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, give yourselves a round of applause. That's good stuff. All right, so we're going to wrapping this up. What questions do you guys have? What right now, I know some of you didn't get to come up to the table, what right now is stopping you from being successful at this strategy, just buying long-term holds and refinancing them, cash flowing them, or hunting for long-term holds and passing those to other people? What is stopping you right now in the business? Yes.
Making the first move.
Making
Going
the first
from
move.
education to actually putting it into motion.
Okay. So, what's stopping you?
Nothing now.
Oh.
I'm going to say I came here and I loved how you had that guy in the chair and you said, yeah, I'll make the call, Okay, great, make it right now. And you saw the face. And that's it. And that's where I feel like, you know, I can say that a bunch of times, but I actually think you'll hold me accountable.
Absolutely.
Or he'll hold me accountable.
Absolutely.
He has been
Coach
inputting
Randy.
on every single one,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what I need.
Should see my text group.
Yeah, otherwise you get
Talk heavy
stuck,
shit.
and I need to know the market, I need to know this, I need to know that. But eventually, you just need to start going.
Yeah.
You gotta kill fear. The enemy of fear is action.
Exactly.
So the sooner
Action's
you
the
put
key.
some action play, the less that fear actually has time to grow. Does that make sense?
Because I still get scared every time I try
You
to
said
call.
cash. What do you
Cash,
mean?
buddy. Cash.
Oh,
No cash.
I ain't talking about cash.
OPM.
Did I tell you how much I bought? How much of my own cash went into that condo?
Let me tell them.
Tell him, Randy. How Zero. What did I do it with?
OPM.
OPM. You've heard of OPM?
Now you,
It's old school.
I'm
I'm
old
sorry,
school.
Jim.
Now you bought those condos.
Yeah.
Did everybody sell them?
What is it?
Condos, weren't they pre-sold? The condos?
They were sold to me.
No, but
They were
each
being
unit
rented.
has to be.
24 deeds, 24 title searches. That's why it cost
What owner?
26.
One owner.
That's why it cost $26,000 to do it.
Appraisals.
So one owner had the whole, so, and he was renting it, right?
There's 32 units in the complex. He
Tenants.
still owned 24 of them.
Okay. And how many units?
24? Oh, 32 in the entire complex, and he
Alright.
still owned 24 of them at that time.
Alright, so 8 of them, you had to go convince those owners that you gotta sell.
No, they didn't sell it.
They
We
still
bought
own
24
Oh, they
and
didn't sell.
32.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because, I mean, he mentioned 48.
Run down.
Sorry.
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
I'm bringing my dad next
I'm
because
old-
I want it
I'm old
exactly.
school.
No, this is good.
Yeah.
What we used
I know,
to
no,
do is
this
we
is
buy it,
So he just
sell,
didn't get it
buy
close to that. It was
and I
one
had
builder.
four transactions already.
Yeah.
One of them was in Florida, and that's probably the one I lost most of.
Right.
Because down there they tank.
So to your point,
No,
being old school, you're not old school. You're the same as
Correct,
everybody in
yeah.
this room. Everybody thinks that they need to have money to buy real estate. Everybody here thought before we talked,
Pretty much.
you need money to buy real estate, right?
Oh, okay, but how about this? I know you can get other people's money, but what if you don't have experience in the field and they're not going to give it to you yet?
Get experience in the field.
Trust.
Get somebody like me and
Bring
buy
in
it.
Digging that
partners.
wholesale business.
Bring in partners like
I have a
you.
question on the wholesale. I'm getting. I need to get more contracts. I need these contracts.
Yeah.
Now, would you say in the first marketing, would you say it's better to do as many different marketing strategies, or to be stronger in two?
Stronger in one.
One is
Can you
better.
run in two different directions?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or rather, be stronger in one.
Stronger in one, and like I said earlier, stronger in one strategy, record it, automate it, teach somebody, move on to the next
Yeah, I
strategy.
only use mainly one strategy. I mean, now I'm in two because I use Facebook groups, but it's just cold calling. That's it. All I'm doing is
Oh, wow.
super
Yeah, cold
targeted. I'm super hyper focused, and that's what he holds me to is being just super dialed in, and that's just it, man. It's just
Alright.
super dialed in. And if you were buying Fall River, wouldn't you want to know every single property owner in Fall River?
Yeah.
So if you just called them like Andrew did and just said, "Hey, I'm trying to buy property,"
Yep.
they're gonna, what's your exit strategy? Everybody that bought a property had an idea of when they were leaving that property. Either they were retiring there and dying, or they were passing it to their kids.
Yeah.
You just gotta find out what that answer is. You know what I'm saying? And where they're at. You know.
You know why they call it cold calling? You get cold hard cash.
That's what I'm talking
I love
With that one on the drive down. I thought that was a good
Great.
I love that.
Start saying that.
And that's a great strategy that works, right?
Yeah. It's just
And-
one. Yeah, it's just one.
And to the point, you don't need cash. You need cash in real estate, yes. That's how transactions are done. We buy for cash. Sometimes though, we buy because of emotions. Sometimes we buy because we just want a different lifestyle. Some people will sell a property and literally just hand it to you because they just don't want it.
Right.
Yep.
Not everything is money related, right? Yes, it may have a value, but the perceived value to that person may be gone already,
So Zach found his house.
right?
Going to he pulled the property records of everybody in eviction court. He found the landlords that were in eviction court and had problem buildings and wrote them a handwritten letter.
There you
Well,
go.
hey, I'll take that problem off your
Love that.
hands. And the kid's always pulling in deals, yeah.
That's
leads
powerful.
will say, bring that. Yeah, it was
That's
huge.
that's
I was
absolutely
like, what?
powerful.
It was crazy. It was funny.
In fact, I'm gonna have to cross-reference my list of
I'm
landlords
telling you,
and be like, "Yo, who's in eviction call right now? Time to make a phone call. How's things going?"
Yeah.
Because that's a bleeding neck that we're always looking for in sales,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, you might be able to plug that up for them.
Absolutely. And to your point, until you learn the skill of raising capital, it's hard to believe that it's possible, right?
And
Until I had that first $100,000 check written for me, it was hard for me to believe that I could get $100,000 raised
In this
from one
back room.
person. Right here in this back room.
Yep.
My buddy walked right in, he's like, "Yep, there you go." And walked right out.
What interest are you paying people on private money?
12%. Yeah, I'm a straightforward guy. I believe that a confused mind says no. So if I try to teach you how 8% is, if I say, hey, I'm going to give 8% on $100,000, hard for me to work that out monthly. You'd have to memorize those numbers. If I say 12% on $100,000, I know that that's $1,000 a month.
done.
Super simple, right?
Sorry, and my dad and my mom own their home, so
Yep.
they could use
Clear?
their
Free and clear?
free and clear.
Oh,
So they
man.
could use
Oh.
the equity.
See, you got the same problem that me and Ron have, right? Too much equity in that property.
Sitting on a lot of cash.
You got too much equity, the son's not paying you, right? Your home is is a liability, like it really is, because it doesn't pay. You've always had to fix it. You've owned it long enough to pay it off. You've been fixing it. You've been putting money into it. You've been upgrading it. You've been paying a mortgage. You've been paying taxes. You've been paying insurance. You've been paying into this thing. That's a liability. This is an asset because I don't pay into it. All of those things are paid for by the tenants, right?
Can I hit on one thing on the OPM side of things, just to clarify? You essentially use, you borrowed OPM, other people's money, to buy a business. You went and bought a property that produces income.
right? I bought a business.
You're not just borrowing willy-nilly, just wildly borrowing money to go fucking throw it at buildings. You're setting up a business, which is your rental portfolio, and you're borrowing capital, saying, hey guys, I'm gonna use your money to acquire these income-producing businesses, and then you turn it from there. So now, and then you have a timeline. So you're not just borrowing, crazy. It's for a specific structure.
Right.
One other thing though that most people forget is you're also helping everybody you're borrowing the money because they're making money.
Yeah.
Right.
So you took something that they're not getting any return on, and you give them a 12% return on their money.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, go ahead.
That's the big.
With all due respect, I don't take pleasure in helping other people make money.
That's okay.
Hey, trust me, we don't want to either.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. But it's leverage to get you to grow bigger.
I'm just
It's
It's
great.
great.
a little jokingly.
Yeah, of course, it's it.
I was say that's tough, man. If you're only paying people money, people might not make you money. So
That's the power of attraction. If you have
Right.
people around you, it's gonna come back.
yes,
That was a joke.
it was funny. I'm laughing. What were you gonna say?
Are you open to partnering on like a smaller deal, like 3 to 5 units?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like any type?
If the deal makes sense, I want to be a part of it. As long as I have to barely do anything.
So you're not into like equity partnerships or anything like that? Just straight lending?
If I don't really like to lend, but if like I had equity in it, and all you want to do is education, I would do that. If you just wanted like to know that we make sure the deal went through. We taught you how to raise the cap. You did all the work for us. We'd be an equity partner. We'd run everything for you. That's no problem. So it's an option. If in the first one, maybe you want to do that. And I'm okay with it because I'm getting a big bite for what to me is easy. Right? Yeah.
What do you hold
Your next, Jess.
rental properties in?
LLC.
LLC. Because can't you only hold, like, to be safe, can't you only hold one rental property per LLC?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
No?
You can do
Many
anything.
different styles.
Yeah, don't get locked into that.
People will do that to be safe, so if there's a problem, it doesn't leak over into the other
Right.
properties. That's the way to do it.
There's a
but
great
A
attorney.
trust wouldn't be better, though?
Do the same
Very
thing.
secret. Like if you're in,
we're
in certain states, you can still sue the owner of an LLC. Even if you have a property in there, if you're in Massachusetts, I can still sue you direct because you own the LLC or you're the manager. So people think LLC is going to protect everything. You really need to get. There's a lot of strategies and trusts and different things. You got to see what am I doing and does it align and protect me in the ways I need. So you got to hit the experts for that.
Yeah, those questions are really for the experts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because it's based on you.
And any attorney will say, "Yep, LLC."
Yeah.
Yep, and in a trust, right? Like they'll stack it up because that's what they get paid for.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely right. If your major concern is protection, absolutely. In the beginning, your major concern is not protection. You got nothing to protect,
It's true.
right? You got literally,
okay, yeah.
you got nothing to protect. Get out there and earn it first, right? I wouldn't worry about the setup until you've got something to close on. Don't even build an LLC. I see a lot of investors go out and they build an LLC, and then they never close on a property. But they paid the $1,300, right?
Yep.
But they paid the $1,300 to the attorney, pay that $500 fee every year, and they never close on a property.
Could have paid me to coach him, and I'd have got him for
Right?
at least
Annoying. I did it. I hate seeing other people do it. Right? So it's like we've created LLCs a week before the closing.
Yeah.
Hey man, bang that paperwork out. We're about to close. Let's pay the fees. Like, let's go. And that's how South Coast Capital Investments was created, right? The one that we hold this in. That was last minute. Let's bang this LLC together. Hey, you want to do business? Cool. We've got this under agreement. We're finally closing. Let's get an LLC ready. Yeah. So that's, to me, that's really where, like, until you've got something, don't spend money.
And who's that great attorney that you used?
We used Tom Purdy. We did it ourselves. Hold on. We did Rocket Lawyer on that one.
There you go.
Not suggesting it, but that's what we did, and
Quick
we've
and
been
easy.
fine.
It
So
worked.
It worked.
Jess, what's your question?
So speaking of deals, we want to get another deal under agreement by April 1st.
Good goal.
So we currently have a free family.
Yep.
However, it is mostly a house because we have no tenants.
Ouch. Why?
We're still
Ooh.
in the renovation phase.
What do you mean?
We made a mistake,
open
and we're
units?
trying to fix it as fast as we can. Yeah, I know. We crunched our numbers last night, so we're like, okay, we need to get another property. We need to get tenants in here and finish this property. Question is, with no rental income, how do
No.
we owner occupy the
No.
next property?
Wrong question. Wrong question.
Yeah.
Don't expand a business you suck at.
There you go.
Right?
Amen.
So you've got 3 steps in a business. 1, build the business, automate the business, scale the business. You haven't finished building the business yet. Part of property management or owning property, that's what we are, property managers, right? Is leasing. What we sell are leases. We sell space, right? Charlie Dobbins says this. And it got it into my head that all we do is grab inventory and then sell our inventory, right? If you're not doing good at selling inventory, don't buy more.
100%.
We don't buy until our vacancies are down, right? He and I, when we have 2 modes that we go into, it's stabilize and acquire.
Yeah.
Stabilize and expand. While we're in stabilization mode, we are not expanding, right? All eyes. Right now, we're heavily in stabilized mode, right? I'm teaching you guys how to go acquire because there's no reason to stabilize. You've been stable for a long time, right? So there's no reason to teach you how to stabilize right now. You've got to be in acquisition mode. For us right now, we're watching every single tenant. Where can we raise the rent? How are the relationships with the tenants? Are they all paying? How's the building look? Where do we have more opportunities? Can we put a hair salon in that unit? Can we utilize that basement? Like, we're looking at every single way to stabilize and capture more capital out of what the assets we already have.
Increase
Right?
income.
Yes, increase income. You're in the same mode as us. How do we increase income out of what we have?
Okay, so
Maximize.
in the event that we have it fully rented, tenants are in there, how will we proceed forward with the
Hold
next
on.
property?
I'm going back.
Yeah.
How long have you owned this property?
6 months.
6 months. How long has it been vacant?
6 months.
6 months. We're not even talking about acquiring more property until we solve that issue. You'll thank me later.
So we're jumping the
Are
gun.
you
You were-
living
you
in
were
it?
Why are
jumping.
Why are those units empty?
Did you rent that one out and live in one of the ones that aren't quite ready?
All of them?
You're, Jess, you're both jumping the gun and shooting your foot with it at the same time. Right? Like, this gun is doing a lot for you right now. Very seriously, get them done in the next 2 weeks.
We should at least do one at a
Right.
time.
We are. We're working
Focus
mainly on the
on-
third right now.
Here's the problem. When you say, right? When you say we're working, you actually mean you're working in those units.
Yeah, I am. Okay.
You're not that good.
No, I'm not.
6
I got
months.
stuff all over the ceiling when I
Yeah. No, here's the deal, and I mean this as a genuine friend. Like,
Need
you're
the shop.
not that good at fixing units if it's taking you 6 months to do
Yeah.
2, right?
No, one.
Even me,
She's finishing it.
she's still working on 1.
There's 2 that are under
Oh,
construction.
sweet Jesus.
Oh,
We are focusing.
All right.
Holy shit.
But even me, right? I can turn a unit in its worst condition probably in 6 weeks myself, right? But I would lose out on 6 weeks of finding deals, raising capital, stabilizing our portfolio, sales if I was an agent, sales if I was doing wholesaling, right? The flips, like if I did a flip myself, I'd miss out on the other 10 flips that we could be running, right? Even if I was just doing painting in my apartments, I'd lose a day or 2, on every single unit. That's valuable time that you belong hunting for more property or hunting for more money, right? If money is the issue, raise capital. All right, go and raise capital, whether it's selling more property, whether it's talking to people, getting people to buy into your dream, but you don't belong fixing those units if you're not better than me, right? And I assure you, you're not. It doesn't sound that, and Jess, I love you, but we've got to get you out of that job. Raise capital, right? Like, how bad are these units? Holy shit.
Yeah, I'd like to go by and take a peek and see what you guys are doing.
Right, yo, Randy actually does property management.
Yeah, because you guys, just see where you're at and what your goal is, because I can do construction management and manage a project.
He's got a crew he can put together for you real quick.
I've done everything except for cement work and foundation work, so I've roofed, go on my Instagram, there's pictures of me on a roof, building a roof, so.
Yeah, and Randy was running a property management company for a while too,
Yeah,
so like he can
units,
get that done.
You know what I mean? And we had like 50 under construction at once, so just, you're doing, yeah, I would just say, let me go by real quick and help.
All right, Jess, you agree to that?
If you want, yeah, just
get those
give you
units
some
rented.
opinion.
I will answer that question.
Okay.
No, very seriously, those units are rented. You have less issues. Now you got leases. Now the bank's going to look at you and say, "Oh, you're a legitimate investor."
Sure.
Without those leases, the bank's not going to look at you, right? They've got to see that you got income out of that building that already exists. Why would they trust you with more? That makes sense. And then once you do have the leases, same step. Start at the beginning. Find a property, put under agreement, raise capital, close on the deal.
Would you have to have those leases set in stone for at least a year first before you move
Nope.
on?
As soon as you sign them. As soon as you sign them, that's a legitimate lease. Yeah. That's the income. That's how the refinances work. Carlos was talking about his refinances earlier. We'll buy a building with low leases or vacancies. You come in, fix those vacancies, get the leases up. You can go refinance. As soon as you've gotten it to the point where the DSC, I forgot what DSC stands for.
Debt service coverage?
Debt service coverage is high enough. Now the bank will refi. You just gotta get your DSC up.
Way up.
Yeah. The higher it is, the better. The more money they'll give you. Is that making sense? Yeah. Not having the money is not an option. The reason you don't have the money is you don't have the deal. That's all it is. Like I said, if you had a house is worth $300,000, but you got it under agreement for $120,000, you'd find some people with money, right?
Yep.
Yeah. You could, right? What's your name? Yeah. Michael. You know that if you had to raise $120,000, but you could tell your buddies, look, I'll split it with you, and we're gonna get another $100,000 out of this after it's all done. You find somebody in that, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course. And you'd be willing to pay them interest, right? So there are hard money guys who will literally allow us to jump in deals like that with no money because there's so much equity in it, they can't go wrong, right? As long as they're comfortable with the area. Yeah.
For your private money, are you paying points and how long are the terms?
Private money, typically no points. Hard money, actually no, private money, I did pay 2 points recently, my buddy. So.
Buddy, you might want to change that.
No, he's a very sophisticated investor, and he came in,
book.
right? He came in last minute, so I needed it quick, and he came in last minute. And normally, I probably wouldn't have gone to him to lend because I could get cheaper money, but in this moment, it was like, you know what? Yep, sign me up. I'll take that 40%, 2 points, all day, because it got me out of a situation. It got me into the building.
It's also going to be the first one we pay on.
Okay.
Well, we talked about it. He's cost us $80 more a month, but it's a relationship with him that it's kind of worth paying the extra $80 a month.
Well,
Yeah.
how long the private money?
His, he gave us a year on that, so we could go a year. He'd love us to continue with it, right? 'Cause it's easier for him. He pulled that out of a 401k, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's pulled out of a 401k. So
Actually, 3 of them pulled them out of their 401k, self-directed.
3 of our guys, yeah. So that is, what is it?
Do they pay a penalty?
No,
Yeah, in
because
fact-
with a self-directed 401k,
Oh,
you
okay.
can invest in other real estate properties, and then that money just goes right back into the 401k.
So you can't realize the income from it until like
Correct. It's got to stay in the 401k.
Yeah, you realize
But your purchase power was going up at the same
Right.
time.
Then it's profit.
So, and let me clarify, they didn't close their 401ks and take that money and roll
Yeah.
it. That you would pay a penalty on. What they
Correct.
did is they shifted their 401ks into something called a solo or a self-directed 401k. It
Right.
wasn't solo. Solo's for entrepreneurs. It's a self-directed 401k, right? So they can direct where the funds go. So in a situation like that, we're perfect. We're a perfect solution because we're giving a very high return on investment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Very good
And
question.
the checks that we write to them, it's not in their name, it's in the name of their 401k.
And it goes
Right.
into there.
It goes straight into that.
Goes
So
directly
does
to
it
that
go
account.
from 401k to the bank? Is that
What-
how it works?
What's that?
And the back end, does it go from the 401k directly?
That's something you'd have to speak with a.
We actually don't do that
401k
ourselves, so
Okay, okay.
we just write the check. You know, they do their logistics. They send us the upfront funds, and then we write the check for them. Any other questions? Anything else? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. What is your name?
Huh?
What is your name? I know we met. Kat.
Hadley.
Kat Hadley. Oh, Jesus, my brother's friend. Okay. Yes. Hadley from Dedham. Okay, got you. And then Brian, right? Brian?
Joe.
Joe.
So,
All right. Hadley and Joe. I'm sorry, guys. I remember the conversation right on stage. Yep. Go ahead. What is the question?
So for wholesaling, what agent am I supposed to be talking to? The seller's agent to find the buyer, like the owners?
Wholesaling?
Yes.
You don't talk to any agent.
No agents.
So, okay.
When you're wholesaling, agents are the last. Like you don't. When you see an agent involved, it's not a wholesale anymore.
You want to punch him in the dough?
So how do I view
Yeah.
a property?
So now we're getting. This is a contact sport, right? So great question. So sales now is like door knocking, right? This is like old school. Like you get on the phone, like, hey, let me come into your house. I want to buy it, right? Uncomfortable stuff.
But how do I
Joe's like, oh no.
I like talking to people.
All right.
So this is what we're talking about with our get the deal thing. This is what we're gonna be teaching. It's, you don't find wholesale deals on MLS. You don't find it through an agent. You have to figure out your marketing and go and find the people that are looking to sell.
And your buying matrix, like what you're trying to buy and exactly how much you want to pay for that specifically, and then now you can start backing in. It'll start to open up to you.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So essentially, you can, as an investor, because I know you're looking at property right now, you can and should, as an investor, go out and look at what's on the market. You should know what the market is moving, what's available, and what the prices are, so that you can understand it. So you're looking at a specific market. What city are you guys looking in?
We live in Marlboro, so
I need
Worcester
Worcester,
would make the
yeah.
most sense.
Worcester?
But I'm from the South Shore, so Brockton would make more sense to me because
Yep.
I'm more familiar with the area.
Brockton has slightly higher numbers,
Yes.
but they're still a very good rental market, right? So Brockton is a great spot to start, or Worcester is a great spot to start, but you've got to pick one.
Yeah,
You can't have two loves, right? It really spreads the marketing, spreads the knowledge. You got to have just one. So, if your choice is Brockton, sorry, Joe, you're probably going to Brockton. I will say the numbers are better in Worcester. To your point. But it's really, at the end of the day, it is about comfort. You can make money in any city. Any city across the country, there's a strategy to do it. The bigger the city, the higher the prices, the harder the strategy, the harder you got to work.
What are your thoughts on buying notes?
I don't do it. It doesn't really work in Massachusetts. But, because Massachusetts, you don't take title if you own the note. You just have the debt. Whereas in other states, you can actually gain the property.
You could still foreclose on a delinquent note, correct?
Right. So there's, it's a great strategy. There are people who do it. We went to a training.
Donna
Ron-
Bauer.
Donna Bauer.
The
There
Note
she
Queen.
is.
Yeah, the best shit ever.
The Note Queen. Look her up, Donna Bauer.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal if that's the direction you want to go in.
But
I
I'll
have
tell
no
you,
experience
you
in
need
it.
big suburban areas, man. You need to think like Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, where there's tons of single families being done on seller finance.
I heard it was a good retirement option.
Oh, it's an amazing
It
business.
is not a retirement though, because you still got to work for it.
Well, yeah, right.
You still got to put those deals on there.
It's a transactional thing. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're holding them and then it's the same, you know.
Even then, like
it's still transactional.
when they pay off, you got to go find another one.
There you go.
Yep. So notes, great, but they won't bring you inventory, they won't bring you multifamilies, they won't bring you retirement. Although it is a passive way to work, it's still work, it's still a job. And to your point, say we chose Brockton, right? Say we chose Brockton as the investment community. You would go into every single 3-family in Brockton, 3-4 family, because you guys don't own a house right now?
No.
Okay, perfect. So you're not married yet, right?
No.
So each one of you is buying a house. Okay, you
Yep.
both have W-2 jobs? Okay, so 1099?
Yeah.
Hustler, I was the same way.
BH 1099.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so she can buy a house, all right?
Good credit?
Good enough.
Well, the main thing is seeing 100 properties in the zone in those 3 families.
That's exactly it. Get into those 3 and 4 units in the community that you want to be in, and don't change. Now that you've learned, stay in it, grind in it. You can make money in every single one. The difference is the more you pay for those properties, the higher the rents are, the more work you have to do in order to get the values up. The more work you have to do in order to cash flow. So in communities like Fall River, New Bedford, Worcester, it's Springfield, it's much easier to cash flow in those communities. You can pretty much fumble along and make your way. In Boston, the closer you get to Boston or New York or LA, the tighter the margin is, the better you have to be, the more cut up you have to get with your strategy. You got to be renting out by the room, right? By the night, right? Like in Boston, Airbnb is probably the only thing that makes sense. The problem is that it's very, very high litigious, right? The logistics behind it as well are very, very complex. So getting it working and running fast enough in Boston can be complex, it can be difficult, but it works. Then the other side is the litigation behind Airbnb. There's a lot of people who just don't like it anymore. And Boston's looking to push it out because of the hotel lobbyists, right? So Brockton, same thing. It'd be easier to do in Brockton, but on the litigation side, but on the income side, it's much lower. Does that make sense? Whereas you go out to Worcester, you go down to Fall River, and now you're in communities that easily can support rental, but could never support Airbnb. That makes sense? So Airbnb is a complex strategy. It's very difficult to fill. High energy, high work. Renting by the bedroom, renting to students. Those are high energy, high work strategies, and they do work, but you've got to have the management system for it, right? And if that's a community that you choose to work in, just know you've got to operate on a higher level than we have to down here, right? The further away from Boston you get, the further away from the major cities, the easier this game gets. I was dating a girl from Boston, and she said, "Oh, why don't you do it up here? You make more money." And I told her it's because I really like how easy it is down here. I would have to work as hard as you do in order for me to do it. Down here, I can just swing the club, hit something, shoot a fish in the barrel. It's easier the further out you get. Does that make sense? So you decide, right? If you're a hustler and there's something about that grind, you just got to prove something. Like Randy wants to be a billionaire, right? I want to be a billionaire. Like if you're into that grind, and that's more important to you than the actual return on investment, go out and do it in those big areas. The appreciation's better, right? In Brockton, Boston, the appreciation's way better. So you'll get your net worth higher as long as that stays strong, which it looks like it will. But I'm not an appreciation play person. I believe in cash flow. The whole point is cash flow, right? It's a 10-year plan. Boston's hard to cash flow. Really is. Even if you bought them right, the rents are high, but the expenses are high too. The taxes keep running up. The insurance keeps running up. So the expense to operating those, even the people who bought them 5 years ago are still in a position where one vacancy on a 3-family means you're missing $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month, right? One vacancy on one of these things, we don't even notice it. And it's embarrassing because sometimes we're like, "Oh dude, we got 3 vacant units? Why did we let that happen?" But it literally creeps up on us, and then it gets fixed. But if we had 3 vacancies in Boston, he and I would notice $6,000 to $10,000 missing. We would know it like that. Yeah. Right? Because the cost, our $5 million here, means maybe 15 units there.
Good. Yeah.
1 or 2 of those missing is blackout area, right? Two vacancies in a portfolio built in Boston is a painful situation. 2 vacancies on a 45 units is not even noticeable. Like we would have to have somewhere close to 10 vacancies for us to feel the same pain. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So when choosing an area, right, like the work is different. It's a very, very important process though, because this is where you're going to be the next 10 years. Yeah.
So with that in mind, do you think it'd be tough to invest in both Fall River and New Bedford?
To invest in both at the same time?
Yeah, like I want Fall River now, I want to get the next one New Bedford, I just kind of want to ping pong.
It would be inefficient.
Okay.
You could go bigger if you just chose one.
Okay.
Because the city councils are different, the
Right.
building department's different, the people who will work in that community are different. You've got to build 2 crews, right? Yeah, you can lay over a little bit, but you'll always be suffering in the city that doesn't have the stronger crew.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Your network has to be different, right? Like if I go into a networking event, everybody is in Fall River, everybody's got Fall River real estate. Now I have to be working 2 different networks, which means I still only have the same 7 days in a week. So now I have to be splitting up to get the marketing in both areas. Whereas you just build one pillar and run that one city for a long period of time. Before you know it, they're handing you deals. People are coming to you saying, yeah, you know what, I want you to buy it because I've just seen you so many times. It's easier, faster. It's a 3 to 5 year retirement plan, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to expand it, you'd have to multiply you.
Right.
You'd have to get another one of you in that city, right? That's why I got Randy. Boom! That's why I got Aquino and Taunton, right? We got Taunton, Fall River, New Bedford right now. And I'm looking for other players where it's like, okay, like you're the champ in that area, cool, I'll run with you, let's go. But it's more efficient to be the champ in one area. And then if you want to expand out, get somebody else who's a champion in that area. Good question, Will. I like it. But
so you wouldn't just do like start in one city and then expand, like even like neighboring cities, same thing, just get somebody else
you could
to come in on it?
If you start in the wrong city, you'll have to. All right, if you start in a city that doesn't have the inventory, you will have to. But if you start in a city that has the inventory of larger buildings, because he and I don't like to do multiple transactions, we'd rather do one transaction a year. Run it, whatever. Because it's on the buy side, we do the work. On the sell side, it's whatever. It doesn't bother us at all. Because the agents do all that.
So like Brockton, like starting out and then like neighboring like Whitman and Hanson.
Why?
Weymouth.
Yeah, why?
Why? Brockton has
Just keep
so
it,
much
so just-
inventory. There's
Yeah, you
so
couldn't
many
buy the whole city.
houses. Yeah.
Can't buy the whole city, son.
This city right here, $4.5 billion in real estate. I could never buy it all. Well, maybe I could. Not with that attitude.
If you had $1 billion, all you need is a.
All we need is that building.
If I had $1 billion, I could leverage it out. I'd have to do it quick before the values went up, right?
Yeah.
I have to do it quick, like overnight sale, before all the values get jacked up. But that's the reality of it. If you do it in the right city, like if you started this, well, where do you guys live right now?
Marlboro. Where do we live?
Marlboro. Okay. Marlboro's got a lot of multifamilies still. Mostly singles though, right?
Yeah, a lot of.
There's a lot of triplers
Yeah.
in Marlboro.
But when you look out your street, you see single families.
There's a lot of like apartment complexes and
Yeah,
single
yeah, there's
families.
a lot
That's
of
pretty much like what Marlboro is.
Yep.
Essentially.
Let me, yeah?
I'm just saying.
I never go through there, yeah. I see singles all the time when I'm in Marlboro. But here's the point. If you walk out your door and you see a single family, you're in one of those really nice neighborhoods, right? If you walk out your door and all you see is multifamilies, that's a really great area for cash flow.
Okay.
Right, so for picking cities, you want cities that have thousands of 3 families, right? Fall River, New Bedford, 3 families, between the 2 of them, there's 5,000, right? I guarantee you Marlboro doesn't have that inventory. So it's can I expand in this market? Probably not, right? So yeah, you'd have to get into different markets if you started and that was like your one thing.
So you have to pick the right location.
Right. It's a long-term play. Worcester, on the other hand, Brockton, on the other hand, they've got the big multis, right? As far as cities go, Worcester's got a lot, right? Worcester's a great city because you can stay there for the rest of your life and never own everything.
Yeah.
Right? Brockton, same thing. You can stay there the rest of your life and never own everything, right? Fall River, New Bedford, Springfield, like, Springfield has 25,000 single-family homes, right? You could never own them all, right? They're 2 families. They have 6,000 2 families in Springfield. The 3 families, they got almost nothing. They got like 500. It's embarrassing. But if you start looking at the infrastructure of a city, like what it actually has, then you can make some really good key decisions about the long term. Right? I have a spreadsheet that I did all of this. I went through all the major cities in Boston, in Massachusetts, and I looked at all the inventory, and I said, well, based on what I'm seeing here, I'm going to choose Fall River, because the other big player was New Bedford. The third was Worcester. And I looked at it and I said, well, Fall River is right next to New Bedford. If ever I had to bleed over, I just got right there, the sister city, right? My crews, like you were saying, my crews can go back and forth. It'd be pretty easy to get them going from one big pillar, right? Whereas Worcester would be a jump for us. We'd have to We have to go and create a new crew out there. We really have to expand. Fall River, New Bedford is pretty easy. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are the questions we got?
I just wanted to ask, he mentioned that you can find the owners on the city's website, but
Yeah.
what, on the, like, how do you navigate that?
If you're in Fall River, yeah.
It's the what deed? Registry of deeds. Okay.
Yeah, the assessors, registry of deeds. For us as real estate agents, we just go right into MLS and we can go right to the assessor's card so we can pull up their information. It's super easy for us. If you're in Fall River, we have a site called Patriot Properties, which allows you to go look at who the owner is, give you a picture of the house and the floor plan of the house, and like what they purchased it for and stuff. So a lot of information in Patriot Properties. Not every city has something like that, but the ones that do, it's really super simple. Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. So with that said, now's a great time to network. Let's put all these chairs away, just stack them in the corner over there, and then network it up, guys. Let's make some money, guys. Your choice. That was the best for the best.
Good to see you, man.
See you, Josh. I love seeing you in the chat room, man.